Hello, everybody. I'm just going to try to do a recap here so everybody has kind of the summary, the short version of what's going on, what's happened during this time, what's going to happen. Um, we found out, of course, much later that there was secret meetings between. Now we believe we don't have evidence to it, but we believe that it was Brent Leiniger, Marnie Cast, Neil Brady, and Mark Wiley that were meeting in secret to try to come up with this plan to fix the precinct delegate elections so that they could take over the party. In January and February, some of our people showed up at Marty Cast's office to pick up applications, and they were told, "Well, they're locked up. You're going to have to come back." So we had a lot. Our people were getting a hard time getting applications. We're being denied applications. So on the March 3rd meeting, the Republican Party meeting, we had applications there. We did the applications, and we turned them in. After we turned them in, Marnie said that there was problems on all the applications, and I told her to put sticky notes on all of them. We'll take care of them. So she put sticky notes on all of them. We took care of them over a week. We got them all taken care of. We turned them back in. She published our names on the list that our applications were in, that they were good and that we would be on the ballot. Um, even Ralph Riley went in and had Marnie go over his application 100%. She looked at it, approved it right there, said, yeah, everything's good, because she helped him do it to make sure that it was all done right. And at the last day, she threw his out. My daughter, Danielle Mentz, she had Abe actually help. Abe actually filled her application out and approved it right there. And then on the last day, denied it, put red ink through it and said, oh, it was denied. And so both of those applications were perfect and they were thrown out as well. So the that was so that was in the beginning of the end, or that was during March, in the middle to end of March. Then in April, they had a meeting, and Marnie uh, motioned to have our precinct delegates knocked down from 133 to 100. And we thought that was odd. We couldn't figure out why she was doing that. We thought it was just punishment. But of course, again, these are people that haven't come for 2 years. So we thought we were just being punished. And so we didn't put two and two together. We didn't realize that the secret meetings were going on, and this was part of the plan to make sure that our delegates didn't get on the ballot. On May 6th, after she'd posted them for 7 weeks, she threw them out at the last day. Now, at that last 2 days, she accepted 70 applications from precinct delegates from their side. Out of that, 62 of them were either elected officials, the staff in their office, or family members. So think about that, 62. So they knocked us from 133 down to 100. They've been having these secret meetings. People who had good applications that they even helped with got thrown out at the last day so that they couldn't run. And so a lot of our people that had their stuff thrown out went as write-in candidates. And the other side took PAC money and put out flyers to have their people elected. Even people from our side that had some of their applications accepted that were good, they weren't on those flyers. And we sent out flyers for our people for write-in candidate because that's all they could do. And you know how hard it is to win a write-in candidacy. Um, July 28th, that's when we finally put everything all together and figured out what was going on. There was a meeting and we disavowed those precinct delegates that they had recruited, and a lot of them had been recruited on county time. Think about that. Your county employees, your county elected officials, why they were being paid, were going around and campaigning to get recruiting to get precinct delegates on their side. That brings us to the August primary. They were disavowed before the August primary, um, and so in our minds they were elected as precinct delegates, Republican precinct delegates, and that started the whole thing. and then, of course, the state convention in August, all their precinct delegates went. And at that point in time, there was a huge, overwhelming majority of America First people there. Macomb had 200 of their delegates thrown out and 200 new delegates set. We had the opportunity to do the same thing, have Brent's group thrown out and our group set. We decided to give them mercy and to work with them, IGOP. And at that point in time, that's when Ron Weiser gave us the letter stating that we were the party and that the meeting they had on 825 was all the people there were illegitimate. Um, that takes us to the fair. We put thousands of dollars into our booth and fixed it all up. It was ready to go. And Brent had convinced the fair board to not give us the fair booth, but to give them the fair booth. And we filed a temporary restraining order with our judges. And our judges, even though no county commissioners were listed on that TRO, it was just us against the fairgrounds. They all recused themselves and spoiled our TRO on purpose. So we didn't get the fair the 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 fair booth. Then in September, Brent Leininger filed criminal charges on the officers of the Hillsdale Republican Party with the city police. Brad Martin did that investigation, sent it up to the Attorney General's office. Attorney General's office declined to prosecute. Then it comes down to November. Once the Attorney General's office declined to prosecute, then Brent filed a civil suit on us and filed a temporary restraining order. Of course, our 6 officers were restrained from um, acting as the leadership or running a convention or anything else. And so the precinct delegates came together, and since the called a convention had already gone out, they went ahead and ran the convention, and they set their precinct delegates and everything. They actually invited all of the other precinct delegates, invited Brent Leininger's group. Brent Leininger actually put an email out and said, "Don't go to David Mosby's convention because that wasn't the right convention. His convention was the right convention." And so then they put together an election in December on December 2nd. They ran that properly. They did everything right there. They called for convention in January. They invited the other side again, invited Brent Leininger and all them. And of course, they declined. They thought that they were the party, that they should be able to do it. They thought the TRO made them the party, and it didn't. The TRO just restrained 6 officers that were no longer the officers anymore. We stepped down, and new officers took over, kept us original 6 from being able to participate in a convention, say anything about a convention, do anything with a convention, vote in a convention. So we didn't. Then the Brent Leininger comes with this letter from MIGOP stating that from Weiser that they were the party. Now, in that letter, he lied and said that we didn't, or that the America First Party didn't invite them and locked them out of the November convention and locked them out of the January convention, which wasn't true. That was an absolute lie. And so they have this letter from Ron Weiser going, okay, we're the party. Okay, so uh, the delegates that are supposed to go here in February, the 17th and 18th to convention, we sent a group up, and Brent sent a group up to MIGOP. Um, we filed a credentialing committee uh, contest, which is exactly what they did in August when they got the ability to send their precinct delegates. And so we did one as well. And it went up there. And first, the credentialing department come down and said, okay, well, we're going to allow Brent's group to send 6 and your group to send 6. And then you guys are going to have to decide together on the 7th person. And if you can't decide that, we're going to come down and rerun the convention. Well, part of the problem with that was they didn't have all the information. They didn't have um, everything was going good until the parliamentarian said, well, who called the convention in January? And it was said, well, David Mosby did. And he said, well, um, Darren Wisely was the chair and should have called the convention in January. Well, he didn't know that that Darren had resigned and that David Mosby was duly elected by the executive committee. And so he had the authorization to call for the convention. And so they sent out another letter and said, okay, Mosby's delegates will go to state convention. His delegates and alternates will go to state convention. But because of the letter from Ron Weiser, and of course he's MIA, nobody can find him, he won't answer any calls or anything. They couldn't go against the chair. They said, okay, but Brent Leininger is the leader of the party, is the chair. Well, the problem with that is it's a contradiction in terms, right? If David Mosby was legal to call the convention in January, then Brent Leininger couldn't be the chair because he would have had to been the one to call it in January. And if Brent Leininger had called the one in January, then Mosby's delegates wouldn't be allowed to go. So they're caught in a conundrum too. They don't know what to do. So what's going to happen is we all know that the America First group at convention will put it to the body of MIGOP, which is the all of the precinct delegates, the 8,000 precinct delegates that'll be there. And of course, we know that we're going to have an overwhelming majority that's going to vote of who the true party is in Hillsdale. We know that it's going to be us. Now, disingenuously, Marnie is putting out this uh, email of, oh, can't we all just get along? Can't we all just come together? Can't we just make amends? Well, we've been doing that all along, and every time we've extended the olive branch, it's been slapped out of our hands, and we've been sued and tried to have criminal charges brought on us by these elected officials. And now that they know that they think that they're in charge right now, now it's all about, well, can't we all just come together and get along? Um, no, not after being having criminal charges put on me and having and being sued and having 27 inches of paperwork filed on everyone and probably 40 to $50,000 worth of legal fees. Hmm. I don't know. I don't think so. I think there needs to be there needs to be a come to Jesus moment for them. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So we're waiting for the convention of 17th and 18th. We've extended the olive branch the whole time. They've denied it the whole time. Now all of a sudden they want, while they're in charge before the convention, they want to bring everybody together and do the kumbaya and let's just bury the hatchet. Well, we're not the ones that have been swinging the hatchet. They swung the hatchet first. They drew first blood. We did what we had to do. They've been horrible about it the whole time with criminal charges and civil suits and all of that, rather than allowing it through the administrative process. And the reason why is because they knew they'd lose in the administrative process. So they didn't want to do that. And so here we are. And we're going to see what happens come February 17th and 18th. But the fact of the matter is, the America First people are still going to be active. We're still going to do things for the community. We're still going to do the things that we've been doing for 2 years. That's how we built the organization. That's what we've been doing. That's our commitment to the public. That's our commitment to the voting populace of Hillsdale. It's time that we start having good governance. And that's only going to happen with hard work. So that's just kind of a rundown chronologically of what's going on. I thought everybody enjoyed hearing that. Have a good day.